Good afternoon.
How are you feeling today?
Day's a good day. Any day above ground is a good day.
What a blessing. Now, would you do us the honor of introducing yourself and tell us what you do?
My name is Dr. Michael L. Hopwood. Currently, I am the executive producer of Living Legends 66 and O, which is a documentary film about an all-black high school basketball team led by a white head coach during the civil rights movement of the 60s that set the record for the most victories without a loss in the history of California Interscholastic Federation high school basketball. In 2019 was the 50th anniversary of that record, and I was the starting center on that team, and I took it upon myself, because I have the means and the time now that I've retired, to document the historic accomplishments. If you never beat your own drum, nobody know you're in the band. So we took it upon us. I took it upon myself to, with my teammates, to document our story. We think it's relevant to this time, the things that we had to go through during this social justice movement of those times. And there's so many parallels with the discrimination that we faced on the road, at home, from the officials, on the way to that record. So that's currently my passion right now. The film has been picked up by a distributor. We expect release within the next 30 to 35 days. And hopefully at that time, we'll get as many people that will go on, will see our film, share it, share the message that's in it there. We hope to inspire this current generation and next generation to know that they too can achieve in spite of those things, challenges that are placed in front of them, and not to give up because of them. So that's the message, that's the goal. I spent the greater part of my adult life prior to retirement in education and playing professional basketball. I played for 6 years in Europe, toured with Athletes in Action, which is a athletic ministry of Campus Crusade for Christ. Before doing that, when I returned to the States, I decided to use my degree in education. I taught on the Sacaton Indian Reservation in Arizona before returning to Los Angeles, where I taught math in the middle schools, for high schools for 10 years, South Central Los Angeles and Watts. I then became a school site administrator over school operations, and I was asked to take a leadership position in the local district superintendent's office over school operations, 56 schools. I was responsible for everything not directly related to instruction, and that included school safety, facilities, you name it, textbooks, anything that did not directly involve instruction. So school ordered textbooks and the textbooks didn't arrive. It was my job to find out what happened, or to help the school find out what happened, not to place the order. If someone walked on campus with a gun, I had to make sure that the staff responded appropriately. I was responsible for ensuring that they were trained, and sometimes providing that training. I was responsible for the school site crisis teams, deploying them, making sure that they were trained during the interim, making sure the schools understood their safety plans and safety policies. One of the things that I'm most proud of during my tenure as a local district operations administrator was I set up the first school safety safe passages program in the Los Angeles Unified School District, bringing together all of those and coordinating all of those different agencies, from school police to probation to the city attorney's office, just a myriad of individuals, even the fire department, first and foremost to make sure that they were all aware of the different plans that they have in place to as first responders, so that when they were called to go to a school site, there wouldn't be issues like not having keys to the same locks, or not knowing that the principal was in charge of the school campus and not the superintendent during a crisis. Just putting those types of things together to actually be able to respond and ensure that those crises were handled correctly. If a house caught on fire and the school students couldn't get to school the next day because they didn't have clothes, I coordinated with my crisis team in the middle of the night to make sure that we contacted the appropriate agencies, one, to make sure they had shelter, and two, to find clothes so that it didn't interrupt their educational experience. So that was a highlight for me. I'm very proud of that. I spent 10 years in that position as administrator of school operations. By the last 2 years, I was asked to become the superintendent position. I'm sorry. And it was administrator of school operations for 96 schools, one of 5 positions, as the district restructured itself. And I was the first African American male to select to that position. There were 2 during that 10-year period of time. And one of the things that I came away from that experience is that you don't have to go to war to be in a war zone. Being over so many schools and responsible for making sure that we functioned at a high level in school operations. It was a position that had a great deal of responsibility and a small margin of error. I did my best to train others behind me to pass on the experience that I had before going into retiring from the district, and I'm happy and pleased that I had the opportunity to be of service and hopefully to pass on that service to the next generation.
Thank you so much for giving us an understanding of all of the work and dedication that you have gifted to students, children, families, and communities in Southern California. The work that you are doing is tremendously important. We would love to ask you, how do you feel now that you are being recognized and have just received this award?
I can't tell you how I feel. It almost brings tears to my eyes. For so long, I was the ladder holder, the person who made sure that the people above me had the support that they needed, the tools that they needed, and gaining the experience that I had. There were very few people who had the experience that I had. I was the president of the school board at Compton Unified School District while working in the other capacities at a tumultuous time in that district. I served on the board of the Associated Pomona Teachers Association during the same time. So I had a perspective both from the teacher, from the teachers union, from an administrator, from a district standpoint. So to have all of that support that helped others and enabled others to be successful, finally recognized, it feels very good. Nice to get your flowers while you're still here to smell them.
Absolutely, and you are worthy of every recognition and every accolade. We are just so tremendously honored to be with you today, to know you, humbled by your humility. Thank you for being who you are, just as you are. And what has the rest of the conference experience been like here at the Global Forum for Education and Learning?
Well, I think this conference it's great. There's a huge need for something like this. Hopefully it can be replicated and not a one-time event, bringing together so many people who have so expertise and knowledge. We need more of that, not less of that. So I think a lot of the sessions were absolutely fantastic. The one I just attended that brought together people with varied backgrounds from not just school safety, but also the social-emotional support aspect that students need. It's a wonderful experience.
We are just delighted. Again, congratulations. And if we would like to learn more about your story, about you and the projects you have been a part of, where can we go? Is there a website? How can we stay connected to you?
The best way to stay connected to me is through the website for my documentary, Living Legends 66 and O, the Facebook page, also an IMB page that is very detailed. And there, when the film is released, people can find all the information and they can stay on top of it. And if they like the page, then they will be added to the list to be able to send them information where they can receive notifications in real time and when things happen. So hopefully you'll go to that Living Legends 66 and O. It's 66, Living Legends 66 dash O, 0.
That sounds great. And if you had an opportunity to express some gratitude, who would you like to thank in this moment?
First person comes to mind is my high school coach, Jim Newman, who taught me how to play basketball. I tried out for my junior high school team, and they wouldn't let me on the team. The coach said he already had his team picked out, and he didn't think I was good enough. Coach Newman found me playing in the park. Someone told me there was this kid with no shoes that could dunk in the gym. He took me under his wing, taught me how to play that summer, brought me my first pair of basketball shoes. When I followed him, he asked me to follow him to Compton High School, where he could receive the assistant coach's position, which I did, and I was able to take the starting position, having learned to play just over the summer. I was able to take the starting position from a senior, and the rest was history. We lost 2 games that year. We went undefeated my senior year, and the following year, the team went undefeated. So first I think of is Coach Newman. If he had interviewed my life, we were impoverished. My mother had 5 boys and 3 girls. We were on welfare. My father left us when I was 2 years old. I didn't even know what he looked like. In college, he came to visit me on a road trip in Denver and walked up to one of my teammates and introduced himself while I was standing there. So, it was a hard time for me, and Coach Newman made a big difference in my life and the lives of our players, just on my team. Just one more reason why we want this documentary story to be told. Plus, I want to thank my wife. She's been a big support through all of this.
Thank you. And for next year, are we expecting you to come back for Global Forum for Education and Learning? What are your thoughts?
I'd love to come back. I'd love to come back in any capacity.
We'd love to invite you in the spirit of call and response. Repeat after me.
I am
A living legend.
a living legend.
Yes, you are. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again on your award, and we hope to see you again next year.
Thank you. God bless.